Okay, good morning everybody, and Hazak Baruch, and Hodesh Tov Umvorach to everyone. Shavua Tov, Bezat Hashem. This month of Rosh Chodesh Shevat should be a month of growth, like the trees start getting now the nutrition and the sap that it needs to carry itself for the spring. Hashem should bless us to give us all the tools that we need to carry for the rest of the year. Amen. Today's class is sponsored anonymously for the Refuah Shlema of all of Am Yisrael. And here we go, Rabotai. Here we go as we are studying this week Perashat Bo. Okay? Perashat Bo. Bo, we know, has in it the last three plagues, the last three makot. And then God finally lets Paro let us go. We leave Egypt. Paro actually kicks us out because he didn't want to die. He was a firstborn. And we have in this week's Perashah a lot of important ideas. Okay, all of it is discussed in Perashat Bo. We know the gematria, the numerical value of the word Bo, Bet Aleph, is 2 and 1 is 3. So 3, because there are 3 plagues in this week's Perashah, so that's a very nice hint. And of course, we are trying to do this year the commentary of Rabbeinu Bahye. Rabbeinu Bahye was a big scholar who lived around 700-800 years ago. And we're trying to read a little bit of his commentary. And we know, for those that have been studying with us from the beginning of this year's Perashah, of this year's round of Perashah, that Rabbeinu Bahye likes to begin every week with another pasuk from Mishler, from the book of Proverbs. And then he somehow connects that pasuk to the Perashah, but really, we don't really care so much about the connection. The idea itself, the pasuk itself is so powerful and how he elaborates on it. So here we go, my friends, for those that are following, we're reading Rabbeinu Bahye, the introduction to our Perashah, Perashat Bo. And he starts off with a pasuk in Mishler. The pasuk, this week's pasuk, is Mishler chapter 28, pasuk 14. Again, Mishler was written by Solomon, King Shlomo the Wise. And he writes in chapter 28, pasuk 14, very, very powerful pasuk. The pasuk goes as follows. Ashrae Adam mefahed tamid. Happy is a person who is always mefahed. Happy is a person who's always, I don't know, how do you translate mefahed? That's going to be the class. Mefahed simply means to be afraid, to be anxious. Happy is someone who's always anxious. Okay, I don't know if he lived in today's generation, if he would say that with all the anxiety that's going on. But Shlomo HaMelech says it's good to always be anxious. Again, not anxious to a point that you're stuck. But we'll elaborate soon. Happy is he who is always afraid or anxious. Umakshe lebo yipol bera'ah. But he who hardens his heart will fall into misfortunes. Okay, so Shlomo always, he does this, every pasuk that we study. He always says, good will happen to you if you do this, and then the opposite will be for the bad. Let's read now how Rabbeinu Bahye explains this pasuk. And let's read and explain. Shlomo HaMelech alav hashalom, King Solomon, may he rest in peace. Yetzaveh bakatuv hazeh, he is commanding in this verse, al adam sheyeh rach levav, that a person in life should always have a soft heart. What does that mean to have a soft heart? Yiheh mefahed tamid bechol inyanav ubchol peulotav. It means that in life a person is always anticipating and thinking about my actions that I'm doing right now. What will it lead to? Vesheyistakel veyitbonen. I should look and think. Betachlitam. You know, when you play the game of chess, you have to think in chess. If I make this move, what move is he going to make? Shlomo HaMelech wants that a person should live life as if they're playing chess. If you play life like you play chess, you'll be very good. You'll be very happy. If you always calculate, if I do this, where will that go? That will be very, very blessed. Veyazir oto, but he warns the opposite. Shelo yikshe et lebo pen ye'inash. But he says, if you live the opposite way, if you're stubborn, a person that has a hard heart is going to get punished. Now, before we elaborate on each one of those, let's explain the words. The first word, Ashrae. Ashrae, we know, means to be happy. He says, Hizkir leshon Ashrae. He uses that word, Ashrae. We don't use that word a lot. Right? We have a very important pasuk every day. Ashrae yoshve betecha od yehalelucha sela. We say this pasuk every day. But he says, Lo matzanu milah zot bechol haktuvim. We don't find the word Ashrae used frequently. Ashrae is a very powerful word. It's a word that needs to be used only when it's really deserving. You don't say Ashrae on everyone, on every case. If a guy gets you a birthday cake, you don't say Ashrecha, right? Ashrae, at least in the text, it's a word that needs to be used at the right time. You don't say on every little accomplishment, oh, Ashrae, amazing. No, Ashrae is very, 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 that's a praise that could only be used on people that deserve it. And he says, if you search all of our writings, we don't find Ashrae belashon yahid. Ki'im belashon rabim. You only find it used for the plural, for many. Hata'am bazeh, the reason. Lefi she'en me'ashrim u'mehalelim et ha'adam. You don't praise someone with the word Ashrae at least, ba'avur midah tova ahat, for just having one accomplishment. A guy, he gave $5 to tzedakah. You don't say for one time $5. Wow, Ashrae. You don't use the word Ashrae for $5 tzedakah. It's beautiful to give $5 tzedakah, but the point is you would use a different word. You would say Hazaku Baruch. But imagine you're giving the guy the most beautiful praises in the world for one accomplishment. That's not how it works. We wouldn't use the word Ashrae for one good trait, or ma'ala ahat, or one elevated status that a person achieved. Rak behimatzebo ma'alot umidot tovot rabot. The word Ashrae is only used when a person amassed many traits under his belt. If a person's a yellow belt, you don't call him a karate master. You only call him a master when he's a black belt. To be calling someone Ashrae, wow, you are praised. The word Ashrae only used on someone that has a black belt when it comes to character, on someone who built many good character traits under his repertoire. So let's give some examples, he says. The pasuk says, Ashrei tibhar v'tikrab yishkon hatzerecha. The word over here is used, Ashrei. We say this by the Brit Milah. Maybe you're familiar with the pasuk. Ashrei tikrab v'tikrab yishkon hatzerecha. Right? They use this pasuk. So how do you justify the pasuk, the word in this verse? He says, very simple. Hanibhar v'hakarev v'hashochen b'hatzrot bet Hashem. If a person is karov, close to God's hatzer, to God's area, if a person is close to Hashem, it can't be because he just did one good thing in his life. Ki imrabot, must be he did many good things, and therefore the word Ashrae is justified. It's justified to use the word Ashrae because the guy he's in the domain of God. You don't just enter God's domain for nothing. Let's give another example. Ashrei Adam oz lo bach mesilot bilvavam. Praiseworthy is a person that guards himself in God's mesilot. What's mesilot? Paths. He says, be'er mesilot. Mesilot is plural. Madregot halev b'ma'alot rabot. It has to be that the guy achieved many. He conquered many paths. B'midot ha'yirah v'bitahon. Therefore the word Ashrei again is justified. V'chen Adonai Tzvaot Ashrei Adam Boteach Bach. Again, praiseworthy is someone who puts his boteach, what's boteach? Bitahon in God. Again, that's justified. Ki b'midat bitahon, because bitahon nichlalot kama ma'alot. In order to have bitahon, one actually needs bitahon. If you have real bitahon, then you actually have many other good traits. Bitahon is the source of many traits. As an example, a person who has bitahon is not jealous. A person who has bitahon doesn't get angry. A person who has bitahon doesn't get arrogant. So bitahon means you conquered many other traits. Okay, so again, Ashrei is justified. Another pasuk. The first pasuk in Tehillim. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach. Praiseworthy is the person, Ashrei, okay, that's the word. Praiseworthy is the person that didn't go with the wicked. He didn't sit, right? Be'derech hata'im. He doesn't sit with letzim, with scoffers. He uses the word Ashrei. Why? How is that justified? Because he's saying, Holech ribui ma'alot. Because this guy accomplished many things. He doesn't stand, he doesn't sit, he doesn't dwell with the wicked people. Okay, so what about our pasuk? Let's come back now to our pasuk. Ashrae adam mefahed tamid. Using the word Ashrae, but it sounds like the guy just did one good thing. He's always afraid. Okay, even if it's a good thing to be anxious, we have to still see why. But whatever it is, he did one thing. No? He says, no. Mishu mefahed tamid, a person who's always anticipating and calculating. Bechol pe'ulotav shu oseh, in all of his actions that he's doing. And he's also thinking about what harm will happen if I do this. Or to'alatam terem sheif'alim, before doing anything, if I could think, before saying anything, if I could just think. Which is, by the way, how many times in life we get into trouble because we say something without thinking? How many times we send a text that we regret sending, or an email that we wish we could delete? Why did I say that? What am I doing? I'm hurting myself. He says over here that a person will be very, very ashrae, very praiseworthy, if you constantly live life that you're anticipating and thinking and calculating. What's going to be good if I do? What's going to be bad? Bevadai yesh lo mitzvot tovot rabot shebahem hu tov be'inei Elohim be'adam. Then you deserve the word ashrae, because that one thing of thinking could lead to many, 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 many good things. Actually, all of life comes down to that one word, thinking and calculating. Right? Ezehu chacham. Our rabbis say, you know what's a really wise man? You know how to calculate someone wise? You know how you describe someone wise? How many books do you have to read a week to be called chacham? In Judaism, it's not about how much you learned. You know what's a chacham? Haro'eh et hanolad. Someone who can see what ramifications my actions will have. Someone who sees 2 steps ahead. Then you're a chacham. Someone who thinks ahead. And therefore, if you think ahead, you're ahead of the 8 ball. You'll succeed in life and you'll accomplish amazing things. And therefore, the word Ashrae is very, very justifiable. You deserve to be called Ashrae. You deserve to be called praiseworthy and happy. And now he goes over here to another word. The next word, Ashrae Adam. What does that mean, Ashrae Adam? Happy is the man. Interesting that we use the word Adam. What's a different word that he could have used? Ashrae instead of Adam. Ashrae Haish. Right? We could have used the word Ashrae Haish. Why do we use the word Adam? He says like this. Because Ba'al Midah Azot, someone who conquers this trait of mefached, of always being angry, of always being afraid, or always being anxious, or always calculating, or always thinking ahead, which we're saying now is a very good thing to have in life. A person that does that, it's because he's following his intellect. He's thinking. How many times we do something because of an impulse, or because of a reaction, or because of a feeling. Someone said something, and you're hurt, and you say something back. But why do you say something back? Because you're hurt in your emotions. Most of life, what we do is through what we feel. Our emotions kind of are the engine. They drive our actions. The truth is, that's a very dangerous way to live. If you live your life that you allow your emotions to dictate what you do, then sometimes you could end up having a world that looks like sometimes the way it does today, where people feel, right? Today, it's all about how do I feel. It's about people's feelings. No one cares today anymore about facts. No one cares today anymore about what makes sense or about, science. It's not about science. It's about how do you feel, right? Feelings. Today, it's all about what are my feelings telling me. And when feelings are what dictate how I live, it can lead to very dangerous things. If I feel like I don't like you, then I want to get rid of you. If I feel, but the truth is, a person has to live not through his feelings dictating, but through his intellect. A person needs to think. And because a person who has this trait of mefahed tamid, constantly anxious, thinking ahead, again, anxious in a good way. Anxious could get you extreme. You could be stuck in your anxiety. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just constantly worried about, if I do this, where will it take me? And because of that, I'm using my brain. I'm using my head to make sure that I'm doing the right things in my life, in my day. And therefore, a person who uses constantly his intellect, he says, going against what his body wants to do. Therefore, we use the word Adam. Ashrae Adam. Velo ish. We don't use the word Ashrae ish in this pasuk. We use the word Adam. Because the word Adam, nigzar me Adama. It means he was removed from the Adama. He's detaching himself from the earth, from his animal side. וכאילו אמר אשרי הנגזר מאדמה המקורץ מחומר שמניח החומר ונמשך אל השכל. This person is not following what his instincts, what his body wants to do. My body wants to go do this despicable thing with this person that I shouldn't be doing this with. My body wants to talk or eat, but my mind tells me that I shouldn't do that. So we use the word Ashrei Adam, as if we're saying this man, he's higher than Adama. He's leaving the Adama and he's going to the Adam. He's trying to show that contrast. Very, very beautiful. Right? He's always analyzing his activities. And he's giving to his heart what will be the end of this. If I do this, where is that going to take me? Is that going to help my marriage? Is that going to help my relationship with my children? Is that going to help my relationship with my partners? Is this going to give me a good reputation? This person is thinking ahead. And the truth is, he says, if you do this properly, if you can live life like this, you'll never sin. Because really, why do we sin? We sin because we don't think. We don't think about feelings of others. We don't think about getting punished in this world. We don't think about getting punished in the next world. So now he gives some examples. When it comes, let's say, to eating, drinking, these are things that we do every day. We have to do them. But why do we do them? Why do you eat? Why do you drink? He says, really, a person, it's not appropriate that a person should eat just to satisfy his craving of food. Because he has a temptation, a desire. Why? Because if you do that, then what's the difference between you and a cow? You and the dog. The dog licks water and you lick water. The dog's hungry, you're hungry. How are we different than an animal? If the only reason you're eating is to fill your urge and your hunger, then us and the animal is the same. Ela, rather, yekaven la tachlit. Person has to think the right reason to eat. What's the right reason to eat? Mahi hatachlit sheyeh gufo bari vehazak. That my body should be strong, healthy. Veyochal la'avot Hashem yitbarach. I'm eating right now. Did you think that this morning? I'm eating right now so that I could be strong, so that I could be healthy. Because there's a mitzvah to have a healthy body. Because if I'm not healthy, then I can't pray, and I can't learn, and I can't do chesed. With a healthy body, I could do all of those things. So I'm eating so that I could be healthy, so that I could serve Hashem. Beautiful. And any other reason of why you eat, that's a mistake. That's not the right reason. He gives another physical activity that we do. Be'inyan ha-mishgal, when it comes to intercourse. A person shouldn't think that I'm doing this for my body pleasure, right? My biological urge. Because then again, you're like an animal. You should do it for the right purpose. Meaning, again, all of this connects. He wants you to think ahead. Think while you're doing this. What is the tachlit? What's the right reason to have intercourse? The kavanat, piriyah, v'ribiyah. It's to have children. The kiyum hamin, to continue mankind. Lahamti toldot, to have children that are of the Hashem, that are going to serve God, that are going to be God-fearing. וכל השאר זולתי אל הכוונה הזאת הוא חטא. Any other thought of why you're doing this act is a sin. Person needs to know the right reason of why I'm doing things. וכן בעניין קניין העושר. Another example. Commerce. Making money. Okay, these are things that we do every day. Why do you want money? ראוי לו שיסתפק במועט. A person needs to learn to be content. To be happy with minimum. To be happy with what he has. ושיסע וייתן באמונה. A person needs to learn to do business with faith. ושיהיה תכלית כוונתו בצבירת כספו. And why do I want all this money? Why do I want 2 houses or 3 houses or a boat or a plane? Why do I want all these things? שיפזרנו במעלות ושיוצאין בדברים שיהיה לתיקון גופו והצלחת נפשו. I want money not to splurge, not to spend on nonsense, on extras that I don't need. I wanted to use it for the right things, to be able to afford things that I need, for my body to live, so I could be healthy, so that I could be fit, so that I could be mentally healthy. ויזהר, and a person needs to be careful, שלא יעשוק, ושלא יגזול את חברו. A person needs to be careful not to hold money from someone that's really theirs, or to, for sure, steal money from someone. ושלא יונה אותו, or to take advantage of someone. ויתבונן בתכלית, and a person needs to again think, calculate, think ahead. שאם יגזול או יונה אותו, if you're going to steal from the guy, והרוויח לגופו בעולם הזה, you may have a few more dollars in this world. הנה הוא מפסיד נפשו, but you're going to destroy your soul in the next world. Beautiful line. You're going to benefit your body in this world, and you're going to destroy your soul in the next world. וחמדת אותו ממון לשעה, and that desire for extra few dollars, for temporary benefit in this world. הנה הוא חטא משפט מוות. ישכיחהו העונש וימיתהו בסוף. ויקרא לו כמקרה עוף. He says, you know what you're like? You're like a bird, he says. That person that doesn't think, and he's just grabbing money because he's thinking about this world. He's like a bird, asher hamdat tevu'ah, that he sees the grain, but the grain is in the net. Does the bird think about the net? The bird is sometimes, right? You look at the bird, you say, what a dumb bird. But he walks right into the trap. What are you doing? What are you doing, little bird? He doesn't think about the net. He doesn't think about the trap. You know what he thinks about? Food. He thinks about a little pleasure. But you're going to get caught in the trap. Don't get caught in the trap. Think, is it worth the grain? And you're going to be stuck forever now? You're going to be in a guy's bird cage stuck? Some guys have a really nice bird cage. I don't know if it's the end of the world. But, usually you're losing your freedom, little birdie. What are you doing? Same thing with a wicked person. The wicked person doesn't think about the net, about the trap. The wicked person says food, pleasure, enjoyment. He doesn't think. He acts with his emotion. He's hungry, he does. He doesn't calculate. The bird also doesn't calculate. The animal that gets hunted doesn't calculate. And this is what Shlomo HaMelech says. The pasuk says in a different pasuk in Mishler, Ki hinam mezore hareshet be'ene kol ba'al kanaf. The bird doesn't think much of the net. He doesn't pay attention to it. Vehem damam ye'eravu yitpenu lenafshotam, and they'll end up getting caught and they'll get killed. V'nisam mashal hazeh al po'alei ha'aven ha'homdei mamon. Same thing with a person who's constantly hunting for money. Shelo kadin, in an incorrect manner. Ro'in hana'at sha'ah, they're only thinking of the now. They're thinking of temporary. Enam ro'im sof ha'puranut. They don't see what their actions are going to lead to. Like an animal. An animal is not thinking about getting hunted. An animal cares only about the food. I saw one time, you know how they catch monkeys? How do they catch monkeys for the zoo? Monkeys flying all over. How do you catch a monkey? So what they do is they put a little cage, a little trap. Inside there's a banana. The monkey sees the banana. The monkey wants a banana. The monkey grabs inside. He puts his hand. He grabs the banana. The problem is he can't pull his hand out because the hole is only wide enough for his hand. So he tries pulling out the banana. He can't. So he's stuck to this cage. All of a sudden the hunters come to grab him, and the monkey sees the hunters coming. So really, if you're a monkey, you have 20 seconds till they get you. If you're smart, if you're a monkey, what do? What would you tell the monkey? If you could talk monkeynese, what would you tell the monkey? You would say, listen, little monkey, Curious George, let go of the banana and go save your life. Go be happy. But the monkey can't do that. You know why? Because the monkey's a slave. The monkey doesn't think. The monkey wants the banana. All he could think is banana. He's thinking with his heart. He's not thinking with his head. How many people, unfortunately, they enter a relationship where they don't think with their head? I'll give you an example. The Torah writes there's a mitzvah to not touch someone of the opposite gender until you marry them. Yeah? Okay, I'm not talking about business. I'm talking about if a person likes someone, you're not supposed to touch them until you marry them. This is called Shomer Negia. Maybe you heard of it in high school. Shomer Negia, the truth is something very smart. Hashem knew, He knows us because He created us. God knew that if you're going to touch opposite gender, how many hormones are going to be triggered. And a lot of times, once there's physical contact, it's very hard to think straight. It's very hard to think correctly. Instead of thinking with your heart, with your head, you think with your now feelings. And sometimes the feeling could mislead you. As the saying, they say, right? Love blinds. So instead of thinking about this person, are they really good for me? Now you're blind. Now you can't think anymore because your feelings took over. Because you touch them and you're physical. So it's very hard to be now. As it is, by the way, even if you're a shomer, it's hard. But now, even more so. So really, a person will be successful in life if they know how to put aside their feelings and to think objectively. Again, it's much easier said than done. But that's what Shlomo HaMelech is saying. This guy who's taking and enjoying without thinking, he's like a monkey. He's like a bird. He doesn't think about the net. Okay. This is what Shlomo HaMelech is saying over here. That in life, nothing that we do, nothing that we say should go against the Torah. However, the opposite of all of this is makshe libo. The opposite of this trait is someone who has a stubborn heart. Yipol bera'ah, he'll fall in evil. Mishe'eno mitbonen, it means someone that doesn't think ahead. Betachlit pe'odotav, what will my actions lead to? Hu ha'makshe et libo, pe'en ze ki im ro'a lev, u'metzad achzariyut sheyesh bo. This guy is really horrible heart. He's really evil. Such a person that doesn't think ahead, stubborn, he has a wicked heart, this person. Ve'harach, and the soft guy, ha'mefaheh tamid, that's always anxious. Hefech ha'makshet lebo. He's the opposite of a stubborn heart. Ki ha'makshet lebo, en pahad Elohim legenav. The guy who has a stubborn heart, he doesn't have the fear of God opposite him. He's not thinking about God. And then he doesn't think about the reward that could come if I do good, or the punishment that could come if I do wrong. He doesn't think about what will this drug lead to, what will this addiction lead to, what will this gambling lead to, what if I lose? He doesn't think, he just does. In life, he just does. Opposite person that's always thinking and anxious. Again, I'm talking about a good anxiety. He'll see the tragedy, the mishap before it happens. He's afraid. He said, I'm afraid. What if I can't put all my money in the stocks? What if it goes down? So he's thinking. I need to save a little bit just in case. He's thinking. But a person who's stubborn, the market's booming. It'll be fine. So he will not, unfortunately, see the tragedy till it happens. All of a sudden it hits him. Everything's crashing. The guy can't believe it. How did this happen? It happened because you didn't think. Other people aren't surprised. The Chacham, he's not surprised because he saw this could potentially happen. He's aware of the risk. And a person that's constantly nervous, you know why? Because he's humble. Humility is behind a person who's constantly worried in a good way. Because he knows things could go wrong. That takes humility. An arrogant guy, sometimes you speak to people, it's very sad, but sometimes you can talk to a person that graduates high school. What's your plan? I'll get a job. Okay, but what if you don't get a good job? No, get a good job. All my friends got good jobs. I get a good job. Are you sure? What if it does? Not worry. He's not worried. He doesn't think ahead. I'll get a job. Do you have a plan? Did you think? Did you calculate? Unfortunately, sometimes you see a person now all of a sudden, a few years later, and he's stuck. Without a job, without a plan, without a degree, without anything. What are you doing? What were you thinking? It'll all line up. Okay. Unfortunately, this person now, he was stubborn. He's stubborn heart. That person, you should know, he's very stubborn. If you're stubborn like that, and you don't anticipate that something could go wrong, if you think you're just going to touch it and it's going to have the golden touch and it's going to be successful, if that's how you think, then this person is end up when it hits him, it's going to hit him very hard because he never thought that this could happen. But like the guy who thinks ahead, yitromem ve'yitaleh, he'll be lifted. Ashrae, he's uplifted. U'maksheh lebo ledvarim, but the person that's stubborn, yikroeh lo mitzad ha'ga'ava, because he's very arrogant. He never anticipates that something bad could happen. Not me. I'm smart. If I'm in it, it must succeed. It's a very arrogant way to think in life. And he'll fall. Ve'amar yipol bera'ah, he'll fall with one bad thing. Even afilu ra'ah ahat, even one bad thing is enough to make this guy fall. And he brings over here many psukim. It's unfortunate to the person that doesn't calculate, that doesn't think ahead. So this is today's pasuk. And really, we understand that it's talking about who? It's talking about Paro. Paro had a stubborn heart. Paro had a hard heart. Maksheh lebo. Paro, like the pasuk says in the beginning, Ki ani ichbat li et lebo. God says he has a hard heart. In this case, God hardened his heart. But the truth is, Paro already hardened his heart first 5 times. Why? Because Paro didn't think ahead. He was very stubborn. Paro said, it's fine. It was just blood. It was just frogs. It ain't going to happen. How much worse could it get? Nah, it's fine. I could go outside. I'm not going to get sick. I'm not going to catch the virus. I'm not, right? I'm immune. I'm above it. A person that thinks they're above, they don't think ahead. They don't think ahead. Like Paro, he ends up bringing his whole country down. A person could destroy their life when they're stubborn. A person who's worried, again, worried in a good way, thinking ahead, just understanding that there could be risk. There could be something that could go wrong. Did I calculate? Did I factor that? Am I planning for it? That person is Ashrae. That person is very praiseworthy. Okay, we'll stop over here, everybody. Have a wonderful day. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.